Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello dear learners, welcome to this online course on writing skills. I am Dr. Divya Gupta, an assistant professor at GLA University, Mathura. Today we are going to deal with interview skills. In our previous lecture, we have already done formal letter writing and informal letter writing, the differences between them, and then we further moved towards different types of business letter writing. I hope that you might have gone through all the lectures thoroughly and learnt, grabbed even a single point which was mentioned over there. Now with this note, we will move forward towards job. After completing our graduation, UG, PG, everyone, you people aspire to be a part of any firm. Now in this condition, what happens? In our previous lecture, we did how to draft resume and CV. In this condition, we have discussed the differences between resume and CV. Which part of resume is applicable and how are you going to implement that knowledge while drafting a perfect resume to lead an indelible response or an indelible reaction, or you can say cater the attention of the readers. So, you all are very much proficient in drafting resume. Now the question arises, once you have set your resume and CV, the next target or the next step towards joining any company would be certainly yes, interview skills. So today we are going to start with interview skills, which is again a very important ladder, which is again a very important step towards the horizon to reach the pinnacle of your career. So now with this note, we will move forward towards the learning outcomes. Whatever you are going to learn throughout this particular lecture and what will be the outcome of that lecture. So after completing this lecture, everyone, I am pretty much sure everyone, that you would be acquainted with the different types of ways how to face an interview, how your body language should be, how your gestures would be, your facial expressions would be, your eye contact, the questions, the way you are going to answer the questions, everything matters a lot. And believe me everyone, once you are confident enough, you will certainly be very successful in your life. So with this note, obviously you will get an idea about all the criterion responsible, all the criteria that is responsible for the selection of any candidate. And then you will be able to know how to prepare effectively for placement drives. Because obviously after completing your UG and PG, you all might be facing or undergoing the same phase, right? So if you are undergoing the same phase, it is our responsibility to train you in that manner so that you can face the HR interview, you can face all the interview panel, and in a very sophisticated manner, in a very confident manner everyone. So certainly you would be able to learn the effective ways to impress people. Then awareness to exhibit interviewees' competency on the basis of questions asked. So you would be able to learn at the end. Why? Because certain questions would be asked from you, and then further you would raise some questions to the interviewer in that condition. So this is two-way process. Then you would be able to understand the role of planning, purpose. Then after planning and after purpose, what will happen? You will learn the importance of kinesics and proxemics while facing an interview, because all these things play an important role, integral role while facing an interview, my dear students. Then You know that shortlisting is not an instant task. It's not one day process. It's a long process. It consists of at least 4 hurdles. You have to run a race and you have to overcome 4 hurdles. So, shortlisting consists of at least 4 hurdles, 4 barriers, and which are they? First of all, your resume. Your resume will be screened. Everything that you have enlisted in resume, your extracurricular activities, your experience, then your educational qualification, your professional qualification, your details, references, everything will be screened first of all. Proper calls, proper verifications would be done on the basis of that resume first of all. Point number 1. Point number 2, after that verification, what will happen? You will be asked to turn up over there. To turn up over there with a written aptitude test. That means a written aptitude test will be taken on the basis of quant, aptitude test, reasoning. So, be prepared with that particular part where you have to exhibit your technical knowledge. Remember my dear students, technical aptitude, all these things will compile together to form up a placement drive. The whole placement drive, you can say, the option or placement drive category for you to overcome that one or to win over, you can say. So, after the second part, you move towards group discussion. In that group discussion, remember my dear students, remember my dear learners, whosoever is actually watching, when you talk about group discussion, the first and foremost thing that you should remember is that you have to remember that an initiator will always be given the highest score. You have to grab the opportunity. Remember my dear students, you have to grab the opportunity to speak, but in a very rational manner. Not at all speaking anything that is like irrelevant or not to the mark or not to the point. It should be sustainable, it should be actually related to the topic. So, a group discussion, you must have the opportunity to speak. Remember my dear students. Then we further move towards the next part, which is again a very important. After crossing, after just moving step by step to 3 levels, you have to come on the 4th level, which means that you have to show and you have to perform well in interview. Now, how are you going to face that interview? Many students, no matter they are intellectually wise, they are very like ultimate, they stood first throughout throughout their academic career, but what happens? Like while facing an interview, they lack confidence, and while facing an interview, if they lack confidence, what will happen? They will certainly be able to, will not be able to actually qualify that interview. It's an uphill task, but not for those who prepare it from the beginning itself. So, you have to understand, you have to learn this part, that whenever there is an interview, you have to do your homework first of all. And what is your homework? Your homework is to plan yourself very well. So, one by one we will come across with different categories of how to prepare for interview, planning, organizing, purpose, then what are the elements of interview, types of interview. You will come across questions of interview, will come across with all these sections one by one. Right everyone? So, after screening, after resume screening, written aptitude test, after qualifying the group discussion and interview, finally you would be selected. So, with this note, we will proceed further with the content. What are the things that you are going to learn in this particular session, in this particular lecture? So, you will learn how to plan yourself, how will you prepare yourself to face that person or the panel of interviewers who are sitting in front of you, right? And secondly, after planning, what is the purpose of joining that firm? You must have the clear purpose, you must have the clear goal in your life, that why do you want to join XYZ company, right? So, purpose and planning would go hand in hand. Then you move up to the next part, that is preparing. How will you prepare yourself for an interview? It's not a giant's, it's not a lion's den that you are going to enter. Is it a lion's den? No, it's not at all like that. But many students are afraid. that okay, I can go on with GD, I can qualify the written aptitude test, but I don't know what happened in my interview. So remember, preparing or preparation is very important. Then we go on with giving interview, and then all the presentation skills that are required while coming up for an interview. So all those presentation skills includes like communication skills, oral skills, generic and technical skills that you have, everything will be compiled together to form up a big umbrella. So now body language, again we discussed about it. In body language, your hand gestures, your leg, the way you sit, the way you shake your hand, the way you look at each other, everything matters. Your facial expressions, your smile, everything matters. So we will go one by one deep into it. Importance of attire, last but not the least, your dressing sense matters a lot. Your dressing sense, that means the way you dress up, it should be absolutely formal. But nowadays with the passage of time, what happens, like interview at the lunch time or during the lunch it goes on, and many times it happens that HRs not at all calling the students to their company in their official rooms, rather they move to university campus for campus placement, right. So what is the purpose of that? To see the actual and to provide the calm, cool and actually very much known atmosphere for the student, so that students may not get we can say that haphazard or that confusion, that hesitation may not hamper their growth, may not hamper their actually the performance we generally say. So remember my dear students, nowadays you do not have to move to place, rather it is very much applicable nowadays that we go for campus drives. So be ready for that. And then last but not the least, we will do do's and don'ts of interview. So do's and don'ts of interview, they are really very important. What are the things that you should do for the successful completion of interview, and which are the things that you should not at all do throughout the interview, which is going on and on, right. So with this note, we will move forward towards the next part where we will go on what is an interview. So with this note, what is an interview? Interview is a form of interpersonal communication involving two parties. So interpersonal communication is actually like where your emotional, your communication, everything compiles together to form up your efficient aspect, to distribute or to actually present, reflect the beautiful side of your personality. So this is an interview, it is again a two-way process, and then with this note we will move forward towards the planning part. Now I would like to give you a very small example. Have you ever heard about a mountaineering, like or a trekking, or have you ever planned to go on Mount Everest or for swimming? Anybody. Whenever you go for any kind of task, whenever you plan something like that, what happens? You first of all pack up your bag in a proper manner. You keep yourself fit. You keep your mental and your physical level at same rate, at same level. And then further you try to train your body accordingly by going on small destinations, right. It is not at all a one-day task that you automatically you try or you plan that okay, I am going to reach the pinnacle of Mount Everest, no, or the top hill of Mount Everest, no, it is not possible. You need a proper planning. In the same manner, if it is mountaineering, if it is mountain trekking, or it is job interview, this is not a one-day task. In the same manner, you have to plan a lot. Now in this condition, act of exploration, what are the things that you are going to explore? What are the things that you are going to explore? Don't actually, basically what happens, students, they are not aware about their traits, about their shortcomings, about their qualities. They are unaware. They think that okay, this is a normal interview and what am I going to do with that? No. You have to identify yourself. You have to think who you are actually. And then further, you have to explore everything. Explore about the company in which you are going, explore about yourself. Self analysis is very important. So, discover a new territory, because now nobody is going to see your writing skills, rather you would be seen or judged on the basis of the way you express yourself. And then further, will extend the frontiers of your understanding. Extend the frontiers means like your understanding, the way you understand everything will be judged, will be gazed properly. Then further, you should collect sufficient information about the company, obviously, like what are the things that you are going to understand, what are the things that you are going to find out about the company, that you should know which is the company, what is the growth rate of this company, then what are the points, what when it was established, recent current value of that company, and then transactions which are going on which point your joining can help this company in a proper manner, will add one more feather to its growth. So, you should know each and everything about the company, remember. So, next you should take practice. You should do practice and discipline in a very disciplined manner. And then you need to be fit. Fit in which sense? In physical sense, with a dull face, with a very monotonous face, boring and tedious like the dressing sense, what will happen? Nobody will be introduced, will be happy to meet you in that condition. What will that person say? That this person seems to be very monotonous and not at all interested in joining any firm, because that person seems to be very agile, right? So, you have to look like maybe so active, supraactive, and fitness in terms of you can go for yoga, you can maintain your physical health, your mental health, because the healthy mind actually it lives in the healthy body. Then it moves up to the excellence in soft skills and oral skills. Soft skills and oral skills are really very mandatory when you talk about interview skills, and because the way you express yourself, the pitch, voice level, the verbal aptitude, the vocabulary, everything matters a lot when you go for any kind of job interview sort of things. Carry out mock interviews, that I told you, everything is counted well, and to do nothing is the way to be nothing, my dear students. Nathaniel Hawthorne said it's a very famous proverb, to do nothing is the way to be nothing. If you won't do anything, obviously everything will turn up upside down and nothing favorable will happen. You have to work hard for your bright future, and this is what you are going to do further after planning. What are the things that are involved in planning? First of all, an organized approach. You must have a very clear vision in your brain, in your mind. It should have an organized, synchronized, meticulous way of presenting the ideas. For example, first of all, you will prepare your resume, your CV, whatever is required. If you are going for any academic work, academic job, obviously you will go with CV. And if you are going for any business proposal, any business job, any professional course or professional job, then you will go for resume. Then you have to create or prepare one interview file, and that interview file will be having again the copy of your resume along with all the testimonials, certificates, passport size photo, other relevant documents. And remember, my dear students, whatever which actually, like all the documents that you incorporate, whether it be testimonials, certificates, everything, the original copies will be there and the photostated ones will be there. If you are submitting the photostated one, remember that you have to properly sign it. The attested copies of all those documents will be considered. Okay. So, this is very important. And then last but not the least, the self assessment. You must go on with self analysis. What are you basically? You should understand your own caliber. You should understand your own capacity, your own eligibility, that where you stand, what is your way of dealing with things. Can you be a materialistic person going through the same trend of these mechanical people who are moving in the professional lives, or you have some kind of like emotional connectivity and that kind of like humanities background, so you would like to go to teaching profession, or so it depends on your way of dealing with things. How do you analyze yourself? What are your qualities? What do you want? Will you be able to be a part of this firm happily? Will this job provide you solace? And what are the qualities that may be treated as a big temptation for these people who are going to hire you? So remember, you must analyze yourself first of all. Then with this note, we will move further towards the next one. How will you prepare yourself? Now, how will you prepare yourself? For example, if I go to mountaineering, I will see just how tall it is, right? I will see how treacherous, how dangerous it is. Then you go on, how cold is there, so that I can take my clothes along with that, my winter clothes. Then what gear will you need? What are the kicks basically? What are the kicks, or what are the things that will motivate you to be a part of that? Then what are the skills required? What skills are required for that? Then how many provisions are there? How many ways are there to find the B plan? Okay, so you will find all those things. Then how many team members are there with you? How many team members are there? How many are your supporters? How many are against you? So you must know everything once you plan something, right? So in the same manner, if you go for job interview, if you go for any kind of interview, what will happen? You have to prepare your brain accordingly. And what is this? Basically, be ready with all the arms and armaments. What is that arms and armaments? It's not only sword, it's not like using sword or knife or you can say revolver. No, be ready with your oral skills, with your communication skills, with your technical skills and your generic skills, right? So brain food, revise your subject knowledge. Brain is always, you cannot treat brain as an object, right? It's a living organ, and whatever you want will be traced out, will be taken care, like if you won't provide food for thought. You must have that idea and revise your subject knowledge again and again before going for any interview skill, any interview drive or placement drive. Rehearse your answers again and again. You can prepare a list of questions which are supposed to be asked, and then after that you can just prepare yourself very well for the same thing, right? You can just rehearse in front of mirror, or you can go for mock interview. So all these things will be very helpful for you, will be very helpful, will be a kind of turning point for you, so that you can show your excellent performance. Remember, my dear students, so preparation is again a very important part. What else we have in this? How will you research about the job? Basically, when you talk about job, how will you find? Through advertisements you search it, through reliable sources you search it. Like I will search it from reliable sources. Somebody will tell me that, okay, ma'am, there is some job in so and so company, or I will search it through advertisements, right? Now according to me, what will happen if these things are going to work out? Now what else am I going to find? That what is the job over there? Okay, now what is the profession that I want to go on, and which job am I talking about, right? So what? Second is, where am I going to be posted? Is it Mumbai? Is it Chennai? Is it Kanpur? Or any metropolitan city? Where? Then we go on, when? Am I ready to join immediately? Rather, I would say that, okay, I am working at some place. So when am I going to join it? All these questions should be answered in a proper manner, first of all, without going in that interview, in that placement drive, you can say. Okay, so you should know that at which place do I stand, and how many qualities do I have. So which is the place where I am going to join. Then who are the people whom I am going to compete with, right? Who are the people whom I am going to compete with, or maybe like who are the gentlemen, who are the owners of this particular firm, whether I will fit in that particular group of people who are there in that company. So, everything should be researched well about the job. So, once you have that clear vision in your brain, what will happen? You will be able to come up with the better version of yourself for interview, because you have catered all the information from everywhere, right. It is not only that after looking at advertisement I have just gone there to knock knock knock, is there any job? No, it is not like that. I have done an interview, I have collected all the matter, where will I be posted, what are the qualities, what is the pay scale, what is the grade over there, then the in which capacity I am going to get the placement. So, everything will be answered. You have to gather the information first of all, and after doing that research, finally what are the strategies of effective speaking, because your interview skills will be judged on the basis of the way you express yourself. So, what are these effective speaking strategies? Remember my dear students, your voice modulation, the way you are speaking, the rise and fall intonation in your words, okay. Like suppose if you speak anything, you must pressurize, you must lay emphasis or stress on noun, or it depends like on which word you want to lay emphasis. It has to be in a proper manner, a trade, or you can say your voice is a kind of trademark. Your voice is a kind of trademark. Remember my dear students, everyone will remember that, okay, I met that person, he was very cool and his way of speaking is perfect, he was conversing in a very perfect manner. Then pitch matters a lot. You might have heard people saying that he is a monotone. What do you mean by monotone? It is not a compliment, it is a comment. Monotone is one who is speaking at the same tone. There is no rise and fall in that. So, there has to be stress, there has to be intonation, there has to be some pitch. When you speak something, you must know where to lay emphasis, and there you will show the stress, put a stress over there, okay. So, remember everyone that any word that you speak, any sentence that you speak should have pauses, should have stress on it. Then it goes on with rate of speech. How you speak depends on the words per minute you speak. For a professional speaker, it is 80 to 160 words per minute. Remember, so it has to match the same criteria, everyone. And then pause, oral white space. Generally, we say that in written communication, in written skills, what in writing skills we use comma, right? We use full stop, then full stop is period, then we use colon, then we use semicolon most of the time, and then colon. So, all these terms, the punctuation marks, they clearly indicate pause. In the same manner, when you speak something, it has to be like that, right? All the words that are spoken in the form of sentence must have some pause, so that it may convey the same idea which you want to convey, which the speaker wants to convey. So, then volume. If you speak at a very low pitch, if you speak at a very low voice, will you be able to listen? As if you are not able to listen now. I was speaking at a very normal pitch, and with a slow pitch, what happened? Other person will say, speak loudly, speak clearly. So, you don't want to get such kind of compliments or such kind of comments, right. So, a volume matters a lot. You must follow a normal tone, normal volume in that condition. Then contrast in emphasis. Wherever you want to lay emphasis, please put a pause on that, so that you can just bring about a contrast between the sad tone and happy tone. You must have that kind of ability to say something. For example, if I say shut the door, that is an order. But if I say please shut the door, this is a request. So, this clearly indicates that emphasis matters a lot when you speak anything. Further, you talk about pronunciation. I have seen several people using sh and using s at wrong places. People speak English, which is absolutely wrong, where English sh sound is appropriate. So, in this case, that is pronunciation. And then further we move towards jargons. What are jargons? Jargons are those words that are specific to certain area, certain field. For example, if a maths person will say it's a Pythagoras theorem, the other person from the arts background would certainly not be able to know what is Pythagoras theorem or anything Archimedes principle. So, in this case all these jargons should be avoided if the audience is not like that. Varied regional accents. Now, in this condition what happened, like if somebody is from Bengal, he must have a different accent. If the person is from Chennai, obviously he must have a different kind of Kannada expressions. So, what will happen, although that person will speak English, but the emphasis, the way of dealing with things, the way of expression will entirely be different. So, remember your regional impact, your regional emphasis will be entirely different, will be different in that condition. If somebody from Bengal, if somebody from Karnataka, if somebody from some other state will stay there, what will happen ultimately? They would not be able to interact in the same dialect, in the same language, in the same accent. So, it has to be taken care. Then listen to educated and cultured people's speech. You must listen to them. Winston Churchill, then Martin Luther King, Mahatma Gandhi, Narendra Modi, or Barack Obama, many other leaders are there who speak so well. They have their own way, the way of presentation, the figurative language which they use. So, all these things prepare your brain unknowingly, unconsciously for that drive, for that placement drive. Keep your eyes and ears open if you want to achieve something. Then after these strategies to effective speaking, you must go on with body language. Now, while talking about body language, do you know what is body language? Does your hand speak? Do you think that your hands speak? Or your leg? Or your eyes? Do they speak? Yes. They do speak with non-verbal communication, with their gestures. So, with their gestures they speak very clearly, and generally it is said that whatever you said does not match with your expressions. So, most of the time all these things matter a lot. For example, eye contact, for example, facial expressions, your gestures, your body and posture and body movements, everything matters a lot when you say, when you talk about non-verbal communication. So, as soon as you enter the room, what will happen? Automatically you stumble, suppose. You stumble, you fall down, or you just do this thing, you stand like this, putting your hands together. What does it reflect? That you are not having that confidence, point number 1. You are nervous enough. Point number 2, then point number 3, it clearly indicates that you don't want to enter actually, but the situation actually compelled you to enter this place. Right? You are not there to leave that kind of impression over there on the interviewer? No. So, your body language matters a lot, eye contact matters a lot. Now, with this we will move further and we will take up all these topics one by one so that you can prepare yourself very well for the interview drive. First, we will go through facial expressions. Now, while talking about facial expressions, how many sensory organs are there which are really reflective? They reflect, the eyes are the mirror to the inner soul. Whatever you feel, it clearly reflects through your eyes. Your face, now for example, smile and laugh, it clearly indicates that you are interested in the topic, right? You are interested in the topic, interest in topic and confidence, it clearly indicates. So, keep that smile, a small smile on your face if you want to show that you are not at all nervous, rather you are confident enough. If you frown and glare, what will happen? This clearly indicates that you are worried. You are worried and you are angry, or either you are ill, you are not feeling well, sick. So, all these facial expressions, they indicate everything that your words are not giving, that your words are not indicating. Eye contact should be very much like it, your eyes, as I told you, they are mirror to your inner soul. Whatever you want will be reflected through your eyes. So, this is respect and goodwill. If you look in a very proper manner, it is their respect. the respect that you express and the goodwill. Goodwill is confidence. Again, you rely on that person. Fidgeting shows boredom and restlessness. Now what will happen? You will move your pen like this. Can you see my pen? Yes. If I am moving my pen like this, if I am going to use my hair, if I am going to move it like this, what does it reflect? That I am confident, I am underconfident. So this is what happens in interview drives as well, in placement drives. So remember, fidget, if you are fidgeting, that shows boredom, you are not feeling good, you are monotonous, the whole situation is monotonous for you, it's tedious, boring for you. Crossing arms indicates an unwillingness to listen. If you would like to stand like this, this will be understood or taken as that you are unwilling to grab anything over there. Then tapping your foot means like you are just putting your leg like this. If you are just moving your leg like this, foot like this, what does it indicate? That you are again getting bored with this. So all these facial expressions, all these body language, they matter a lot when you go for interview. Further, continuing the same process, doodling on paper, like if you are going to go on with scribbling, if you are going to do so much of scribbling, if you are writing something, if you are doing something, what will happen? Ultimately, that clearly indicates that you are not at all interested in this interview drive, rather you want to run away from this place. Yeah. So if you really indicate that kind of thing, what will the person say? That you can leave, thank you. It was really a nice, it was kind of pleasure for me to meet you right now, and thank you. So do you want that kind of treatment? No. So remember, these are the most important points. Then we move further to gestures. Gestures, as I told you, some emblems are there. Some emblems, like you give this kind of like illustration. Sometimes you give this kind of illustration, and other times there are several other emblems. So what does it indicate? That all these emblems, they clearly indicate that some or the other non-verbal communication is going on between two parties, whether knowingly or unknowingly, consciously or unconsciously, that kind of interaction is going on. So whatever you want to hide, it will be reflected. So emblem, illustrators, effect displays, regulators, then adapters. So all these points are the part of kinesics where everyone will deal with certain things with one or the other illustrations, like the indication from their eyes, or they effect some display, or maybe like some kind of like poster you would highlight. So all these things will be taken as a negative things over there. And then further we move to different part of gestures, like where are we going to, like we do have some gestures, some hand movements to emphasize on certain things. For example, if I am using this index finger to point towards anything, so what will it clearly indicates? That I am going to emphasize on that. So this is for emphasizing, any gesture that you can use in that condition, right? Then you want to point out, you want to emphasize on certain things, you want to reject. What will you do? You will nod your face like this, reject. Or you will look here and there, you will not certainly directly say that no, I do not agree with you, rather I would look here and there. It clearly indicates that you are trying to reject. Then to describe things in detail. So all these things are different gestures that will help you out to exhibit. Now we talk about posture, how your posture would be, the way you stand and the way you express yourself, the way you sit in front of the interviewer, everything decides whether you stay in that company or not, right? As soon as you enter the room and whatever, like you are standing there, and automatically what will happen? Either somebody will ask you to sit down, or else you will take the permission. Sir, very good morning, I am Mr. So and so, may I sit? So first of all, take permission, derive or take permission before entering the room first of all, and before taking the seat as well. So don't lean on the table first of all. What do you mean by that? Don't lean on the table. That means if the table is there in front of you, you should not lean like this, or you should not actually sit like this, bending towards forward side. No, you are not supposed to do that. Rather, you would try to sit properly, erect, straight and unbending. Unbending, that means your shoulders should be like this and you should stand, you either stand like this or you should try to sit like this as well. Then balance your weight on both the legs you stand. Like suppose if you are standing like this, folding your legs. If I stand like this, what will happen? What will happen? You will say that no, this person is not at all actually perfectly capable for our post. It clearly indicates that this person is exhibiting the nervousness. So remember, my dear students, stand on both the legs whenever you are standing in front of the interviewer and sit properly erect. Then the whole thing will give you the statement or the significance or indication of poise, that is dignity. I am a dignified person. It will give you the sense of poise and confidence. And then further, the open hands extended forward, that will clearly indicates that okay, I have nothing to hide. Rather, I have everything open, like whatever I have written over there in my resume is correct, absolutely correct. Initially, I would like to tell you this thing, that initially when we used to shake our hands, it will be like this, right everyone? When we shake our hands, it will be like this. And have you ever seen Narendra Modi sir, while shaking his hands, what he used to do? He used to shake his hand like this, and then further with his other hand he used to pat. What does it indicate? That I am superior to you. Understood? So this is the actual way of shaking hands in a very firm manner. And then further it happens that when I talk about shaking our hands initially in the ancient period, what used to happen when people used to shake their hands? They used to shake their hands like this. One hand over there and the one hand till elbow. Why is it like that? Can anyone imagine? Think about it. Point is that they want to check whether this person has come along with arms or not. If any person might be carrying any knife or any gun along with him, he would be carrying over here. So remember, my dear students, shaking hands matter a lot when you go for any kind of interview. If they are very senior to you, if they are of your equal level, please go and shake the hands firmly. Then we move up to the next part where negative body language reflects. Negative body language means like slumped posture, foot tapping and doodling. These things matter a lot. If you are doing one of them in the interview hall, what will happen? This will be taken in a negative manner. Then rejection, arms folded. Rejection clearly indicates if you are folding your arms, if you are head down, if subconscious frowning is there. So it clearly indicates that all these things are the sign of rejection. Aggression, you are not feeling good, you are frowning, or you are not actually in a very nice mood. What will happen? Leaning far forward. You will bend forward in a very leaned manner, finger pointing and grinding teeth, right? So all these things will be a negative aspect. Then you talk about lying. If you are lying something, trying to hide something from this person, from the interviewer, what will you do? You will touch your face. You will touch your face. You will keep your hands in your hair. You will keep your hand on your lips, might be speaking many times by eyes. So what does it indicate? Everything will indicate that you are trying to tell something wrong. Lie. Over mouth, eyes averted, looking here and there, shifting uncomfortably in your seat and glancing. Glancing on the blank side of the wall. Everything indicates that you are telling a lie. You don't have guts to speak and look into the eyes of the person. Then we further move to the positive body language. If you are too much interested in the job, you must follow all these things. All these things that I am telling you. Except those negative points, Generally it is said that it's not what you said. Now in this condition, it's not what you said basically is what? In this condition, your face speaks something, your words speak other things. And in this very clearly indicates that responsive and eager. If you are responsive and eager to know, leaning forward, open arms and nodding give. If somebody is speaking, you can say nodding, right? It clearly indicates that you agree with that person. Then listening, head tilted, constant eye contact, nodding and verbal acknowledgement, everything matters a lot. And then attentive if you are smiling. So all these things, they are the indication of positive body language. Last, like while preparing yourself very well for the interview, you must work on your attire. Attire is the way you are going to dress yourself. Now in this condition, what are the things that in ancient period, obviously we used to have for males, it was like coat, formals and with tie, but now with the passage of time it has changed. It has moved to trousers and shirts, normal shirts. And further, if I talk about the females, it was again wearing white or some light shade blouse and then with trousers, pants. Again the formal trend right now is wearing shirts and trousers and putting blazers. So these are summer jackets maybe sometimes. So these are the formal dresses that are required, or you can say mandatory, to face an interview. Then while talking about shoes, remember my dear students, for girls it is shorter heeled shoes, or you can say the flat heels, because heels will not be accepted in any placement drive. Then further, it should be very simple and very calm. The dressing sense should not be, or the colors should not be eye catching or pungent, it should be light. Then we talk about fluency and self appearance. Now how will you improve that fluency and the way you dress yourself? The beard will not work out, boys should remain clean shaved. And then articulation, how will you improve that one? You will try to listen as many speeches as you can of great leaders, so that you can imbibe those things. You can see the rise and fall, intonation, stress, so that you can balance your speech, the way you speak. And then you must have a good pronunciation. Your good pronunciation will definitely be an eye-catching factor for your selection. Why? Because good pronunciation, many times it happens that in MNCs they want somebody who can communicate experiencedly well or splendidly perfectly well. So what will they do? Somebody who can go on with British accent, somebody who can go on with American accent. So remember my dear students, good pronunciation matters a lot. Then we further go on with voice quality. Voice quality, that means bass, everything relates to this. Esophagus, when you utter a word, you must remember that which sound am I creating. When I talk about sh, it has to be sh, not sir. When I am talking about b, it has to be b, not p. So voice quality matters a lot. Then accent and intonations. Accent and intonations means you have to accent is, again I told you, American accent and British accent, and then further you move to intonation. Where are the places where you have to put your stress and pitch everywhere. So further we will move to communication skills. Now which are those communication skills you must follow? They are formal conversation, that is English pronunciation, and then techniques to develop effective word accent. Techniques, that is again you have to understand word stress. For example, if I say exam, if the term exam is there, if it is a noun, remember my dear students, if it is a noun, if I use exam word as a noun in a sentence, then E will be stressed, Whereas when I talk about exam, use this exam as a verb in a sentence, then zam, z, Z sound will be stressed. So remember, my dear students, there is a vast difference between the verbs and noun while speaking, while pronouncing those words. So all these things, they give you LSRW, like we have labs also, language labs. They are really very much valuable for these students, for you guys, so that you can very easily learn the skills of pronunciation. You can learn the vowels, you can learn the consonant sounds, you can learn how they are pronounced. Okay everyone, so this is very important, listening, hearing all those videos and then speaking. So LSRW, listening, speaking, reading and writing skills, they are 4 skills of learning and they are very much helpful for anyone who can proceed, think about it. Then tone, this we have already discussed. Now interview and their types. In this condition, when I talk about interview and their types, we have job interviews, right? But apart from that, we have several other types of interviews as well. Now which are they? They are, first of all, the major category, the broad umbrella will be into 2 parts. The dominated by exchange of information and then dominated by exchange of feelings. Now in this condition, when information, it will be job interviews, then it will be information interviews, persuasive interviews and exit interviews. When you leave the job, that also, at that time also your exit interviews will be taken to gauge the drawbacks of the firm. And then it is performance evaluation interviews, counseling interviews, conflict resolution interviews and disciplinary interviews. They are very important, and with this thing we generally concentrate on job interviews, which are really very important for everyone, because all these things which we have read till now will be applicable to these things, to all the types of interviews that we have. There are 3 phases of interview. Now which are these 3 phases? The first phase will be warm up phase, where you will say, you will introduce yourself, you will handshake, and then after that handshake you move up to the second phase. The second phase, where introduction and technical skill based questions will be asked from you. Technical skill based means like whatever homework you have done, right? Upgrading yourself, revising everything, everything will come in this category. Then in third phase of interview, wrap up stage is there. Even interviewee, even the student who is the interviewee may ask the question, will be asked to clear his doubts if any. For example, salary expected. So this is the third phase, and then we further moves about the what the interviewer seeks. What are the things that in an interviewer search in the candidate? So what are they? The ability to communicate, whether this person is able to communicate well or not, whether he is willing to accept responsibility or not. Willingness means like if that person has that kind of leadership skill or not, whether he is going to run away from this fact that okay, there is so much of load and burden over it. No. Ability to handle conflict. Then competitiveness. Does he have that kind of like eagerness to fight against the competition or introduce something new to it? Possession of technical skills or ability to achieve them. Directions. Now in this case, directions are also there. Level of energy. I told you the word agile. The person should remain agile, active. And then knowledge of the company. You must have the knowledge of the company, whether this person has the knowledge of your company or not. It's very important. And then you further move towards the technical skills and generic skills. Technical skills and generic skills. Now in this case, we have analytical power solving, problem solving, flexibility we have, then interpersonal skills, leadership skills, goal achievement, level of initiative, time management and self-confidence. In this case, you should remember that the combination, synergy of technical skills and generic skills are very important. Technical skills everybody learns, aptitude test, reasoning, quant, everything you learn, everything. In generic skills, what are they? The emotional touch, the analytical and problem solving words, then flexibility, How many interpersonal skills do you have? Leadership skills do you have? So, all these things. And then further, which are the interview questions? Many students say that ma'am has told everything, how to face, where to face, when to go on, but which are the questions that are raised and asked every time? Now, in this condition, remember my dear students, first of all prepare your introduction very well. Very well. An introduction should start with any kind of slogan. With any kind of slogan. Remember my dear students, so start with the slogan. You can say to do nothing is the way to be nothing. I believe in this quotation and I follow the same quotation every time because I am an active member of so and so. Then you can begin with your same thing. What are the short term and long term goals? They are very important. You must answer the question of short term and long term goals. You must have the clear vision in your mind. Where do you want to see yourself after 5 years? Long term goals and short term goals. Reason for hiring you. Why should I hire you? This is the question. You must have the answer to this question. You should incorporate the details of what? Of the company's attributes in this answer. Remember, attributes will be taken care in this condition. Then, what is the reason of leaving the previous job? Please, my dear students, remember that you are not supposed to mention the ill features of your previous job. Rather, you try to highlight that, okay, I want promotions, I want a new exposure, and that is the reason why I am trying to switch this particular job. And where I am very much inclined to learn something new, and thereafter where would you aspire to see you after 5 years? Again, short term and long term goals. How much salary do you expect? This clearly indicates that you will certainly say salary negotiable. Why would you say like that? Because this person knows very well what is your salary, right? So, that person will certainly give something more than that. Then give one instance reflecting your leadership skills and problem solving aptitude. There you can say that, okay, at my college level I held or I was the minister of this club and I was the mentor of this club, and then you can proceed further. And then you can talk about your strength, your weakness and everything. How you spent your free time, everything will be asked from you. Be ready with all the answers. Critically analyze yourself between 1 to 10. This is a very common question. Where would you think yourself to be? Is it 1 to 10? How much marks will you give? Is it 8 or is it 9? Don't ever try to give 10 marks because this is something wrong. You cannot treat yourself on the highest position. Questions related to some current affairs, again you have to go through all those current affairs, and then situation based questions to judge one's personality. Some situation will be given to you and then you would be asked how will you treat it or how would you be able to go on with that. So, answering strategies again will be the panel, like you have to just face in with cool and calm nature and be rational while giving the answers. Then projective a positive image, you cannot show anything wrong. Rather you can give a very short note at the end, like at the end within 24 hours you can send a mail to that interviewer that how was the interview, or maybe asking something more about it. It's a follow up, and do not exaggerate your salary. This is my humble request. Language usage, again you should not beat around the bush and avoid long vague strings of sentences. One idea, one thought at one time. Yeah. So, these do's and don'ts are actually the summary of everything that we have learned throughout our lecture. You should try to do your homework first of all, you should make a good first impression and then listen and respond accordingly. You should prepare yourself in a very smart manner. Open-ended questions should be asked of the interviewer. Sell your strengths and expertise. Please remember everything that you should do, and don't speak poorly about your present job. Don't falsify information. Please don't add anything which is ostentatious about the previous job or something like that. Don't speak over the interview. So, you cannot have your own opinion on that interview. So, with this note, I am Dr. Divya Gupta just signing off. Remember that this interview or these interview skills will definitely help you out to clear and qualify the interviews that you will face. Opportunities don't happen, you create them. Remember, my dear students, and optimism is the faith that leads to achievement. Finally, Narayan Murthy said that God favors the prepared mind. So be prepared and ready for the interview skills. Thank you everyone.